to upsell yourself and not downsell yourself in an interview?
Yeah. I think this is an interesting question in many different ways. I think a lot of times we are very hard on ourselves when we appear for an interview, right? And I don't understand why, right? And I'll give you examples. Like for when you are giving an interview, what do you have to lose? Like if you're going for an interview, it can only result in two outcomes. You either get the job or you don't get the job. If you get the job, great, it's a positive outcome. And if you don't get a job, it's a neutral outcome. You still have the job that you are on. Now, I agree there are exceptions if you lost your job or if you're the first job that you're looking for, sure. But being hard on yourself doesn't yield anything. So first of all, do not, and when we are hard on ourselves, we end up undermining ourselves and, downselling ourselves. So that's the first part. The other part is stop looking at interviews as, oh, somebody's going to grill me. Start looking at interviews as this is your opportunity. This is your sales pitch. You can go and talk about how awesome you are, right? You're not responding to, oh, somebody's going to ask me a question. I'm going to respond to those questions. You are essentially sharing what you are good at, right? I'll take perfect example of Amazon's leadership principles, right? Tell me about a time X, right? When you failed, when you did something awesome, whatever that is. That's the question. Nobody has forced you in a specific corner that you need to answer it this way. You pick up how you want to respond. You pick up the best project that you think, right? So figuring out what to showcase when and how you showcase is important. Definitely there is an aspect of practice, is important, right? Last but not the least is you talked about the upselling part. It's more than upselling. It is convincing the interviewers or the hiring manager that you are the best person for this job. And how do you do that? You do that by doing your research about the biggest problem that that company, that team, that person has. And then showcasing through your interview that you are the best person to help solve that problem for them. I think that's the most important part. There's nothing else.
Yeah. Have you ever like downselled yourself in an interview? Any instances?
Oh, many times. Many times. I've made my share of mistakes, and I'm not saying that I do a perfect job of upselling myself, but to give you an example, like one of my actually, right after I came back into corporate after selling my company, I also moved back to India to be closer to my family. And that time, I wanted to start a business in India, but Indian market, as we all know, is very different. So what I wanted to start, I couldn't do. I just couldn't do because of regulations, because of lack of ethics and policies around or regulations around how sellers sell stuff and whatnot. I'll not go into though. That's a story for another day. Uh, but after trying for a couple of months, I was clear that this is not going to pan out. I need to find work. Right. So I started looking for a job. PayPal came first, and I picked up that job. Not saying PayPal was bad, but that was my first offer. It was in Chennai. I'm from northern part of India, right? So I should have waited to find something in the Delhi NCR region because what happened as an end result is when we moved to Chennai, in about a year, we were like, we can't stay here because we don't understand the language. We feel more alienated in our own country, right? So, and we are not close to our parents, the prime reason why we came back to India and we came back to the US, right? So I would say I didn't undersell myself in terms I could have made a little bit more money and that kind of stuff. Like that's part, but I jumped on the first thing that came along the way uh, as part of a desperation,
Right.
which I shouldn't have done.
Yeah, I think that is also kind of downselling yourself.